Okay, guys, welcome to today's lesson from Science 1206, discussing the different types of weather fronts. So to start the lesson, we're just going to look at what is a weather front. So this is essentially when you have two different air masses and they come together to meet. The boundary where these two air masses meet, this is your weather front. And when these air masses come together, that's going to cause a change in your temperature or your precipitation or your wind. Okay? So these air masses, they do not mix. They just kind of like, they meet together and they form that little front. And we have four different types of weather fronts that we're going to look at. Why is it important to study weather fronts first? So we have 3 points here, and our first one is to predict weather changes. So this is important for meteorologists when they want to predict what weather we're going to have in certain areas on certain days. It'll predict the temperatures and the precipitation that will be present in the area. Our second point here is to make safety preparations. This is also important for pilots when they want to anticipate turbulence or different changes in the visibility. It's also important for when people are planning their harvesting or when they want to protect their crops from heavy rains or storms. Our third point here is for interpreting weather maps and forecasts, which is what we have right here. You can see these different little red semicircles and these pointy blue triangles. So studying these fronts and then studying these symbols that go along with the different fronts, which we're going to learn a little later in the lesson, this allows us to understand the different weather conditions from these maps. So the first front that we're going to look at here is called a cold front. This is when you have a mass of cold air and it pushes under the warm air. It pushes that warm air upwards. So as you can see here in this little picture, we have the cold air pushes the warm, moist air upwards. This causes cloud development. And the weather that's associated with this type of front usually includes violent storms, then followed by fairly cool weather. Our next front that we're going to look at is called our warm front. So you have warm air gradually slides up the cold air mass. And this is because the warm air has a greater momentum. So again, you can see the warm, moist air rising, and that's going to form your clouds. So the warm front will bring gentle weather, so gentle rain and light snow, and it's considered fairly stable weather. The third front we're going to look at is called our stationary front. This is when you have two air masses that come together, but not one of them pushes the other away. So this is kind of a different front, and it's difficult for meteorologists to predict this weather along a stationary front. Sometimes it resembles a warm front, those violent storms that are then followed by the more stable weather. So when you get this warm and cold air coming together, you're going to have the development of clouds and fog, and it may rain or snow. So the last front that we're going to look at here is called our occluded front. This is when you have a trailing cold front, moves more quickly than the leading warm front. And because it moves more quickly, the cold front will likely catch up to that warm front, forming that occluded boundary. So the weather associated with occluded fronts form around areas of low atmospheric pressure, so this usually involves some precipitation. So, as you can see, all four fronts had different symbols. The one we have right here in the cold front was the little blue pointy triangles. And then when we look at our warm front, we have those semicircles, the red semicircles. Our stationary front kind of had, right here, you have a little mixture of red semicircles on one side, the pointy blue triangles on the other side. And then when we get to our occluded front, you have the mixture of the red semicircles and your blue triangles, all on the same line. So after learning that, we can go back to our weather map that we had from the first slide. And now we know the different symbols that are associated with the different fronts. So we're able to tell that this one here with the blue pointy triangles is going to be our cold front, and the red semicircles will be our warm fronts. So thank you very much for listening to my lesson, and I hope you all had fun. learning about the different types of weather fronts.